Are Disney live-action remakes dead? Well, we're going to find out this December when Mufasa, the prequel to the live-action remake of the Disney classic Lion King, comes into theaters and goes up against Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We've just seen the trailer, and we also have some indications that Disney is really desperate to make this one hit. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is the once and future king of Pride Rock, Mr. VashSky. Vash, what's the morning report, by the way?
The morning report is, as the sun comes up, everything the light touches is within my kingdom. Ha ha ha. No. Look, Mufasa is an anticipated film, but I do question how much anticipation there is based on what we've seen so far.
Right. And just to point out, there was a D23 Entertainment Expo presentation, and it went on for several hours. And they talked about the fact that, first of all, they had the director, Barry Jenkins, come out and talk about Mufasa. And of course, he would do that. And this is a movie that's coming up by the end of the year. They threw everything and the kitchen sink into this presentation. They talked about Tron. They talked about Lilo and Stitch, a Monster Jam movie, Avatar, things like that. So it is their obligation to show up and promote this movie. They also had Lin-Manuel Miranda appear. Now, it's worth pointing out that Moana 2 did a presentation earlier in the sequence here, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is arguably one of the reasons that film was so successful, he has nothing to do with Moana 2. I'm sure there'll be some callbacks to his music. He'll probably make a few shekels off of that one, I'm going to say. But he is doing music for Mufasa, the prequel to the live-action remake. Well, it's not even live-action, the CGI animated remake of the... I can't do it every single time. It's a statement on whether or not this film needs to exist.
Well, it's a bold strategy, Cot. Let's see how that strategy pays off for him.
Right. There's also some desperation on the part of Disney here. I am going to point out this tweet from Boris Kitt over there at The Hollywood Reporter. Disney's D23 Entertainment Showcase ends with the announcement that everyone in the room will be getting emailed movie tickets for Mufasa as gold and white confetti rains down on the Honda Center. I'm hoping it's that ba, 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 that plays when the rain comes down at the end of Lion King. Lion King might be my favorite Disney animated feature of all time, of the 2D animated features. I love that movie. I think it speaks to claiming your life and the responsibility to take control in your own life. Remember who you are. Love it. So this is one where, I maybe have some extra disdain for them here in making this particular film. There is an extra quote here that I find hilarious. I don't care if they're giving me a free ticket. I'm going to see Sonic 3 over Mufasa, says a discerning Disney fan outside the Honda Center. The movies open up on the same day.
Folks, this is absolutely brutal. These are the biggest Disney fans you can possibly hope for. All of the almost unanimous standing ovation when Bob Iger came out. This is the type of fandom that is in the D23 Honda Center. And the fact that this reaction comes out of any of them is really, really something.
Right. I know people who were in that room that paid upwards of $14,000 to be there. And this is a crowd that should be open to almost anything Disney does. I think they're reconsidering that at this point. I'm not going to say what resort they're staying at, but these are the kind of people who would be interested in everything Disney, but instead here we are. So there are a couple of aspects of the trailer that I want to just bring up really, really quick. This is a movie that maybe shouldn't exist, but let's talk about this real quick. We're not going to go through the entire thing.
It's time I tell you a story. A story of a cub, not much bigger than you.
So just to be clear, we're not in this story?
There's a lot of stories with all of us. Tell one of those.
Long before they became legends.
All right. So it's a funny thing here. They're basically hanging the lampshade here, pointing out that people are interested in the actual story. This is, of course, not Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, who are voicing Timon and Pumbaa. This is Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen voicing Timon and Pumbaa. And it's obviously not Robert Guillaume as Rafiki. Forgive me, I forget the name of the actor who they have doing Rafiki. No disrespect to him, but they're starting out with the idea that this is an existing story. It's one that is already resolved. Vash, have you seen this trailer yet?
I have not in its entirety. I have seen clips of it, so this is kind of my first time experiencing this. I do find it funny that they're like, hey, let's tell some stories where we're all in it. And honestly, yes, I understand they're making that reference for a reason. But it does kind of beg the question, why not tell a story that involves all of them? Why go back to the past with a character that is so tragically murdered in the lead story?
That's a very good point, and murdered by someone else who is in the story. When I look at something like this, I can see what's happening, and they don't have a clue. But let's move on from there.
Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar became brothers.
All right, so they basically confirmed here what everyone suspected was the plot of this film. It is the story of Mufasa and Scar meeting. Obviously has a different name other than Scar, and how they came to be brothers. Yet again, Disney is going for this idea of found family over actual family, which is fascinating. I don't know if they're trying to make some point about the way that lions interact with each other here, but Star Wars did it where they tried to say that all the adventurers became essentially a family, even though no one in that film had any romantic intentions. In fact, they killed the only character who appeared to have romantic intentions in the Star Wars movie. Or Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a little bit better. That's a more solid found family story, but found family is one of those aspects where Hollywood will deprioritize actual family and favor found family, even though they'll also say that someone is not my family so they'll also talk about disconnection and things like that for lesser offensive. So it makes me very uncomfortable, the idea of Disney saying what a family is. They don't like the idea of someone being like a brother. They would rather refer to them and lessen the story of The Lion King by saying that Scar was not actually a brother.
Yes, that is a very interesting thread that we find in a lot of modern productions today. A lot of that, progressivism in there, but we know that kind of thread has existed for some time. I will say here, you can see in this frame actually, that the lions are more expressive than the previous incarnation of them, the Jon Favreau live action production of Lion King. That was one of the biggest complaints from that film, and it looks like they've addressed that in this specific prequel. Right,
and that's a very good point, because that was a huge complaint. Also, Scar is a lot more malevolent, and I think this is something that Disney struggles with. As you make prequels, you tend to lessen your villains a little bit more. I like the idea with Anakin Skywalker. There was a moment where, okay, now I'm evil. And it made a little bit more sense, even though he had regrets. There was an obvious point. It's probably around the time that he wiped out the entire temple full of little kids that you could say, now he's evil. Despite what modern Lucasfilm actors tend to say about whether or not it's okay to blow up an entire Death Star. There's a couple of quick things that I want to hit before we wrap this up here. Here's something that a little sequence. Obviously, this is great. It calls back to the best, one of the most memorable sequences in the original Lion King here, and the idea of the kings of the past looking down on you from the sky. But here we have the villains of this. I've noticed some interesting aspects here.
Circle of life.
The circle is broken. There will be one Lion King.
Mufasa, run!
I'm also going to point out they literally say the name Lion King in there. Okay, that's a bridge. I wonder if they had a debate about whether or not they're going to cross that. But I'm not trying to read race into this, but I do notice that all of the lions that are a problem are white. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. Let me know if I'm jumping at shadows in the comment section down below. There it is, right there. That is the last thing that I want to point out here with original songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't know if, obviously, Encanto is the hugest hit in Disney animation right now. It beat out Frozen. It beat out a lot of other productions by Disney there on Disney Plus. I think Encanto was the biggest. No, Moana was the biggest. And then Encanto right below it, both of those featuring songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's odd to me that Moana 2 does not have songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I wonder if they just could not get him for this, because it's supposed to be that Barry Jenkins sent the script to Mufasa to Lin-Manuel Miranda during the production of Encanto, which, I mean, that's like a 5-year period. So essentially anytime from 2014 to 2019. Okay. But I don't know how Disney is treating this right now. I also don't understand why we're not hearing very specifically what it is that Lin-Manuel Miranda worked on. I wonder if it's because of the reception of, what is it, Squawk Box or Chatterbox, or what was the song from the live action Little Mermaid that caused all that uproar?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of it right now. Probably going to have some text right down there below to tell you exactly what that song was. It was terrible, though. And I don't know, maybe that dimmed his star a little bit. Obviously, he was also involved heavily in the Mary Poppins reboot / sequel there. So I get it. And not everything he touches turns to gold. But you would have thought that for all the productions that he should be a part of, Moana should really be that one production. The fact that he's attached to this Lion King project that, as we have seen in this video, nobody's really enthusiastic for is bizarre.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And his appearance here on the stage is the first time that it's the first time they've shouted about it here. And by the way, that the correct answer was The Scuttlebutt. Another song that I think probably sounded a lot better when it was Lin-Manuel Miranda doing that song. Also, if we're talking about Moana 2, they have confirmed that The Rock will be singing again for Moana 2. This whole thing is just fascinating to me. I don't know. I don't see this film performing well against Sonic the Hedgehog 3, other than people believing in Disney more. I've asked my kids, and they watch Sonic the Hedgehog over and over again, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and they really like the Knuckles series, even though the Knuckles series doesn't have Knuckles in it very often. I like the main actor in that, Adam Pally, but he's kind of, I don't want to say he's an acquired taste, but if you find him amusing, you're going to find Knuckles amusing. And meanwhile, they've got Keanu Reeves over there playing Shadow here in the year of Shadow. I don't know. Vash, you have anything that you want to add here before we throw this to our commenters?
Yes, absolutely do.
Was it womp, chicka womp womp, chicka womp womp? Well, now we do want to throw this to our commenters and ask them, what do you think of Mufasa? Will you be going to see it? Or if you have the choice of only seeing one, are you going to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3, opening up the possibility of a Sonic the Hedgehog universe here for the rest of all of us to be enjoying for years to come, letting all those people who made fun of Ugly Sonic know that they were absolutely correct there.
Jonas, now that I think about it, maybe Mufasa shouldn't have been the closer. Maybe it should have been Sonic.
It would have ended on a high note there. All right, that being said, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.